From January through March, in honor of MLK Jr. Day, Black History Month, and Women's History Month, Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey is teaming up with our account partners and our Uncle Nearest Whiskey family to raise up to $1 million for historically black colleges and universities through the sale of old-fashioned cocktails and Uncle Nearest Premium Whiskey products. Visit oldfashionedcocktail.com to learn more and to join the Uncle Nearest HBCU Old Fashioned Challenge today.
With Liquor Barn, you can shop your favorite bourbon, that perfect bottle of wine, or discover something new. To place an order for pickup or delivery, download the Liquor Barn app, visit liquorbarn.com, or call your nearest Liquor Barn location. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our email list for all the latest news on products, promotions, and events. Liquor Barn, where Kentuckians go to celebrate life. Cheers!
Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me live tonight in the Bourbon Life studios, it's the Bourbon Life crew. Well, the ones that didn't call in sick or with some other lame-ass excuse, but I've got Matt here in the studios with me. Matt, how you doing, man?
Hey, Mark, I'm doing great. We are kind of running a little bit of the skeleton crew tonight. But
Ragtag. The important people are here.
That's all right. The whiskey still gets drank all the same.
That's exactly right. That's all right. And we got Stacy with us as well. Stacy, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you can hear Mike in the background. I'm not sure what
Mike,
he's doing.
what the hell are you
I heard
doing
some
down
strange
there?
noises. I'm like, I don't know if I want to ask what that was, but Big Chief is on the phone calling in live from Texas to join us. Big Chief, how you doing, man?
It's been a hell of a whiskey day today for sure.
Yeah, man, you've had a big day today, right?
Yeah, it's the launch of the Whiskey Trip podcast, and so many texts, so many friends reaching out to me, messages on Facebook, messages on Instagram. Nobody messaged me on TikTok though, so I'm kind of bummed there.
Man, TikTok is a whole nother world, and I just don't get it. But that's a whole nother story. Well, congratulations, man! I'm thrilled that you're able to get that launched. So we were able to get it out there. It's underneath the Bourbon Life umbrella. So anybody looking for the Whiskey Trip, just you can look for the Bourbon Life on all your social media or your podcasting platforms. And you'll find Mike's show, The Whiskey Trip, there week after week. Every Tuesday is the plan. Is that right, Mike?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he'll be putting out a new show, The Whiskey Trip, and it's not just going to be based on bourbon and rye. Mike, you're gonna try to explore the world, and not necessarily just whiskey, but kind of spirits from all around the world. Correct?
Yeah, I think if it is in that whiskey category, and a lot of people think out there that they know all the whiskeys, but there's a lot more out there that's considered whiskey than what we think as Americans or around the world. So some people are surprised when I say, hey, I'm going to drink this whiskey from, let's say, Africa. That has a grain whiskey, or South America has a whiskey. So I'm going to try them out, drink them. I'll tell you an honest opinion about them for sure. Like the one I drank last night. Not me. No. We drink Abasolo from Mexico, and it was like drinking warm cornbread with milk and jalapeno.
Wow. That's an interesting descriptor.
I think I could do that if I was in the mood for it.
Yeah. Got to be in the mood for that milk and cornbread, right?
And jalapeno.
Whew. So it's not a tequila. It's an actual whiskey out of Mexico.
It's a 100% corn whiskey. It's not your mellow yellow.
It's not mellow corn, huh?
Yeah.
That's like,
Well, mellow corn isn't even 100% corn.
No, that's right. It's like 80%, right? Yeah. Good point, Matt. Very, very good point. Well, Mike, congratulations, man. Again, I'm really thrilled for you. Happy we can work together and get that out there, and glad to have you back on the podcast airwaves, man. People missed you over the 4 months or whatever you were gone, and it's great to have you back out there doing your thing, man.
Well, Stacy don't have to lie. She didn't miss me.
I didn't even say anything, so you're speculating at this point. You're just bringing all of this on yourself.
Man.
Violence has been chosen.
I know.
Violence has been chosen. How many times on this podcast has that been said?
Well, we are a violent crew.
Oh, man. Matt, come on, man. Jump in here. Do something. Settle everybody down.
Well, let's talk about what we're drinking.
Matt, that's a great idea. Let's talk
I'm
about.
full of good ideas.
You are, man. You're full of it, Matt. I mean, you're full of good
Full of
ideas.
something.
Matt. All right, so we've got something else poured up tonight. We've decided we're kind of copycatting Mike, and we didn't mean to. It just kind of worked out that way.
Sure, we didn't.
Because Matt showed up. Matt showed up with a bottle. He's like, "Hey, I brought this to drink," and then I was like, "Well, I'm not really sure what we want to drink tonight." And then Matt picked a bottle off the shelf here that turned out to be a Canadian Rye Whiskey. So then we had two foreign whiskeys, and I was like, "Hey, well, why don't we just drink something else?" So we're doing whiskeys around the world, around the globe tonight. Because we just do that. We fly by the seat of our pants, right?
Keeps us fresh.
Yeah. So we got something poured up, which I bought the bottle, and I know absolutely nothing about. But Stacy, being the research expert she is, she has some information. So, Stacy, would you like to share what you found out about this bottle?
You know what, Mark? I would love to share what we were drinking
Thank you
this
so
evening.
much.
And, just in true Mark fashion, I prepared some notes this evening.
Which I have to say, you put down quite a bit there in the short little amount of time.
No shit. I was like, whoa.
I'm
what-
really
sitting here
good
just
at speed writing.
That's
guys.
awesome,
It's what
man.
I do for my job.
Mag, you missed it. She asked me when we sit down, she goes, "Mark, can I have a piece of paper and a pen?" So I'm like, damn it. Okay. So I go get her one. She's filled up half the page with notes just since
Well,
we've been
I've spaced
sitting
it
here
out.
in
I've spaced it out.
10 minutes, man.
It's
So
really not that impressive, guys, but thanks.
I'm impressed. So share with us.
I'm real good at writing, not too good at reading. So here we go. So this evening, we are going to be drinking the Egan Seagull. Jeez. Anyway, let me try that again. The Egan.
That one tooth messed her up.
She got her tongue hung up on it.
Shit. Here we go. Egan single grain Irish whiskey. In particular, the bottle that we are drinking this evening is the vintage grain. This particular bottle was cast in 2009 and bottled in 2019, coming in at 92 proof.
That means it's 10 years old, right?
That's quick math, Rucker.
Thank you so
That's
much.
quick math.
Appreciate it. I counted my teeth.
The one thing that aggravated me though during my research is I can't figure out what the single grain is.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Okay, so I'm studying for this test, right? So they're talking about grain production and
Matt, did you know that he's
Jeez,
studying for a
Pete.
test?
All right.
A test?
You know what?
Did you know that?
I had heard a little something about
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
continue.
Give me a hard time about it. So, what I had read about grain production, when it's a single grain, the majority of the time, it used to be corn predominantly, but now they have shifted to wheat. So, wheat is predominantly the grain that's used in a single grain, but they do still use corn sometimes. So,
Some barley.
yeah, and some barley. So, there's no way to know unless they specifically state what grain it is. And single doesn't mean, I don't think, like a single malt doesn't. I mean, obviously it's malted barley, right? But the single is a reference to the fact that it was produced and distilled at one distillery, not the fact that it was just a single grain.
What if it's like spelt or something?
I don't think it's spelt, Matt. But the
What if
reason
it is though?
it could be. But did you have any more information on this box?
I sure do.
Yeah, she spelt it all out.
I sure did. So we went over the basic statistics here of the bottle here. So a little bit about the company itself. This was founded in 1852 by two brothers, Patrick and Henry, in Tullamore. They stopped production in about 1968, but then the family got back together in 2013 and resurrected
Wow.
the brand. So it's still family owned.
Very nice.
This is a single grain again, aged in American oak bourbon barrels for at least 8 years. But as Mark Rucker's quick math determined, this is 10 years old.
Did I ever tell you guys that I was on the math team when I was in 7th grade?
I was on the academic team.
I was too in high school. Yeah, isn't that great?
Gosh, we should have a
We
battle.
should have a battle royale. Anyway, let's have a whiskey battle royale.
Let's do it. Mark, what do you think about the nose on this one?
I'm not super impressed with it. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's a very light nose. And you said it was aged in bourbon barrels for 10 years. And of course, I guess there's no way to know if it's first fill, but I'm not picking up, much notes in terms of bourbon, like the standard vanilla, things like that you might pick up off of even a used barrel. So I'm not sure. The color on this one, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's not much.
It's like straw water, like really light colored straw water.
Yeah, I mean, it's like water that has a little gold tint to it because it's very no, don't even go there. All right,
looks like
no. I'm not going to say it looks like that, but it's an odd, for someone that drinks whiskey regularly, this is different. So this is an Irish single grain. But the Irish industry, it's really interesting because as of, I think it was like the 1960s or 70s, they were down to 3 distilleries. That was it. They were one of the first countries to actually distill whiskey. And they were huge, but then with the all the famine and then other things that happened, the separation from England, they lost the ability to export their whiskey to England. So Scotch kind of took over for that. So the entire Irish whiskey industry just went to hell. So it's nice to see that they are starting to rebound. And the reason I bought this bottle, Matt and I did a show with Brian Nation from O'Shaughnessy Distilling up in Minnesota, right? Yeah, in Minnesota. Brian had been the master distiller at West Cork. Was it what? Or was it IDL? Whoever makes Jameson, Redbreast, and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Over in County Cork. So he was master distiller there for 10 years or something like that, and then moved to Minnesota, took up with O'Shaughnessy Distilling, and they're making the Keeper's Heart, Irish plus American whiskey. So it's a blend of Irish whiskey, an American whiskey, rye, or bourbon. So he sent us, as part of a kit, there was like a single malt or a malt whiskey, I think, Matt, and then there was a single grain Irish whiskey, and then the combination of the two. It's really neat. It's kind of like walking you through the different components.
Yeah, the combination of the two was the Keeper's Heart, the
right,
finished product.
Right,
but then he was able to give us samples of their two kind of backbone products that make it.
Oh, and then we got a sample of the rye with it, right? Separate, wasn't it? Like the two Irish whiskeys, and wasn't there 3 samples, and in the actual bottle itself that we got?
I just remember 2, but anyway.
Anyway, I digress. So, but I was kind of turned on to that single grain, and I was like, man, I'd really like to find some. So I just went out, and this was the only bottle that I could find at Total Wine that said that it was a single grain Irish whiskey. And
one more statistic.
Oh, yes.
Here.
Please, Stacey.
It appears that you paid somewhere around $50 for this bottle.
I believe I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. That's about the going rate for it. All right. Matt, what are you getting on the nose on this one?
Man, she's good. She looked into your finances and everything and found out how much you paid for it.
You're killing me. I'm dying over here, guys.
So the nose on this, when I first poured it up, was, I would say give it some time. Probably a pot-stilled whiskey, I'm going to guess, because on first it was little funky, little raw, just somewhat off-putting. But since it's settled down and some more characteristics that are a little bit more recognizable have come across to me. Mark, you often talk about like pencil shavings.
Yeah,
I get that from this. It's got
there is like a hint of it in there.
Yeah,
it's so funny
like
that you
little
said that.
Pencil shaving, almost like a little cornstarch. Like think of like the outside dustiness of like a marshmallow, not the sweetness from it. But then there is like a little corn or like a subtle toast, like not barrel toast, but like white bread, buttered white bread toast aroma on it.
Do you pick up any barrel influence at all?
I get a little bit of caramel.
Do you?
A little bit, but it's pretty subtle compared to everything else that Matt has pointed out.
Stacey, what do you pick up? Anything else in the nose that?
Not a whole lot, no. Like I said, the subtle caramel, and like as Matt mentioned, when we first poured it up, I was like, oh, that is funky.
Yeah.
But that kind of went away after it sat for a couple of minutes while we were BSing. In true Bourbon Life fashion. I'm not really getting a whole lot on the nose on this, but there are some faint caramel undertones there.
Mike, what are you drinking down there in Texas tonight?
I'm actually pulled out an Elijah Craig toasted barrel tonight.
Very nice.
Great little bourbon. 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. So really high barley for bourbon, I think. Elijah Craig is.
Yeah.
Pretty innovative of the company. They saw that toasted barrel was going to be a big thing, and they came out with this. They don't tell you how long they aged this in the barrel, in that secondary barrel, but for some weird thing, they tell you how long the staves were aged or air dried, which is 18 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The weird thing about that one for me, and we were talking about this before we started the show, was that when Matt and I tasted that for the first time, I didn't like it. I don't think Matt was too crazy about it. But Matt, you said you'd gone back and revisited, right?
Yeah, since having the bottle open, letting it get some air, it picked up a lot more of the toasted qualities, I thought. Came across a little sweeter, little more of those toasted flavors we all come to love. I actually find personally that for 94 proof and that high barley content, I think regular Elijah Craig drinks a little warm, like drinks a little hot almost sometimes, like a little spicy. And I think that toasted barrel influence kind of chilled things out and mellowed it around.
Okay.
For me personally,
I may go back and I might need to revisit that one, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because if I haven't mentioned it before, I'm an Elijah Craig fan, right?
There might have been a post about it.
There was a post with a few bottles.
Just a few.
Yeah.
But you beat this one up.
But what? Yes, I beat it up. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I just wasn't a fan, man. So I guess I need to go back and revisit and try it again. So.
I think your problem with it is similar to mine. Is I like the Elijah Craig barrel proof a lot. Obviously, that's way more proof than what you're drinking with the toasted. So you had this like facade built up in your head of what this was going to be, and maybe just fell a little flat.
You know what I get on this? It's like you take some peanut brittle that's been cooked, it's still warm. You mash it between some graham crackers, and you pour a little black pepper on it and eat it.
Oh,
that's what I get.
Damn.
That sounds delicious, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe without the black pepper for me, but the peanut brittle and the graham cracker, that does sound really good. But Stacey, I think you had a good point because, with the Elijah Craig, I expect a certain profile and a certain kick from that bourbon, but also I think from just toasted in general. I think Woodford Double Double. I think that sweet toasted marshmallowy type of, and other toasteds that I've had that I think kind of fit that same like the 1910, that comes in with that same kind of really sweet campfire marshmallow type of thing. But then that Elijah Craig, I don't think fit that so it didn't fit that Elijah Craig. That was a good point. It didn't fit that profile, and it didn't fit what in my mind is a toasted bourbon. So I think to me, it was just like, oh, well, I'm not a big fan of this because it doesn't meet what I expected.
I think we need to do a toasted blind. One night.
I think that'd be a great idea.
We can pair it with some s'mores.
Yeah,
that's a great show.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. So you guys want to talk about the palate on this one? This Egan, I want to call it Egan because I keep thinking about the movie Hitch, where he meets the guys at the party, and the one guy's name was Egan. So I keep wanting to call this Egan.
You are such a movie, the movie trivia.
There's so much useful knowledge. If I could make $1 million out of this useful knowledge, then I'd be a rich man. But unfortunately, I can't. But yes, there's a lot of useless movie trivia in my head. Anyway, the Egans. What about the palate, Matt? I'm going to throw it over to you since I had to go first on the nose.
Hey, sure deal. I'll take it. I think the palate brings a little bit more of the bourbon influence than the nose did. There's a little vanilla right up front. I'm actually picking up a fair amount of apricot.
Okay.
For me, this has kind of like that stone fruit backbone with like a touch of citrus or like a touch of something bright on it as well. Again, get kind of that white bread, white bread, grain taste and aroma on it. But I gotta say, I think the palate on this is quite pleasant compared to maybe what we were smelling on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody else is thinking that as well, but it comes across pretty well. The finish is nothing really remarkable, but at the same time, in that regard, I think it's quite drinkable because there isn't like a super long finish that's kind of burning you up or leaving your palate kind of like steered in one way or the other.
I agree with that. Stacey, what do you think?
I got very similar tasting notes to Matt. I'm not trying to copy him, but I was getting like some white peach, like not like a super ripe peach, but like a white peach.
Yeah.
So that reminded me of on the back end there. And honestly, judging from the reviews that I read for this bottle while I was doing my research, it didn't get that great of a reviews, but I honestly don't think that it's bad at all. I would pay $50 for this bottle.
Yeah, I'm really surprised because I haven't tasted this in a hot minute. But yeah, after smelling the nose, it was like, ooh, yeah. I'm not sure how this is gonna go down, but the palate I think is completely different.
I like it.
Than what I was getting on the nose. It's
Be a good like summer afternoon.
I was just gonna
drinker.
I was
sure.
sitting there, when you were talking and saying that, Matt, I was trying to think what, blending this, mixing this in a drink, maybe.
Oh, for sure.
Something light, something summery. Because I was thinking this on ice in the summer would be freaking, I think, ideal just to sip on by itself. But then if you could put it in a nice cocktail, because, I do get the sweetness off of it as well, which makes me wonder if it is made with corn. Because there just seems to be a lot of sweetness.
It's what the internet speculates.
Oh, it is? Mm-hmm. Okay, because I'm like, it just seems like there's a lot of sweetness to it, which I don't think I would get from a wheat. I just don't. I don't know. It doesn't come across to me like a wheated type of whiskey, but that corn sweetness is there. There's a spice like Matt talked about as well that comes across. The finish is short, but at the same time, I think, man,
It kind of leaves like the internet. Their website said a long finish. I don't agree with that. However, there is like a little bit of something though that's like hanging around the back of my palate. And I think that it would stand up well in a cocktail.
Yeah.
It's a gentle finish.
I definitely agree with that. Mike, what about yours down there, that Toasted Barrel Elijah Craig? What are you getting off of that?
I'm getting a whole glass of it right now.
You getting that black pepper?
Oh, man.
I'm still, Heaven Hill's known her for that peanutty taste, nut taste.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of that. When I say caramel corn, maybe some Cracker Jacks, that kettle corn with some nuts in it and stuff.
Yeah.
I just love that it's almost got a toffee taste to it.
Why do we always talk about nuts on this show, guys? Always.
Because we love Matt's nuts. That's the bar right
oh,
there.
Jesus. Oh,
Matt's,
Jesus.
Matt's spicy
Matt's spicy nuts.
Spicy Christmas nuts are the bar, and everything else falls short in comparison.
Mark, somebody gave me crap for drinking a Crown Royal on my first show.
Oh, yeah.
And not drinking a bourbon, but I'd like to point out that Crown Royal is as close as you can get to as bourbon as there is in Canada.
Yeah.
If it was just made across the line there, it would be a bourbon.
Yeah. Do they have a mash bill published on that? I don't even know what it is, Mike.
Yeah, it's give me 1 second.
Because it's a blended whiskey, right? So they've got the base whiskey, and then they have a flavoring whiskey. Is that right? It's a blend.
Yeah, but they have a blender's mash now that's actually as close as you can get. So
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 64% corn, 31.5% rye, and 4.5% malted barley.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn close to a bourbon, right?
Yeah, that's the Gimli Distillery right there. It's in Manitoba. It's like out in the middle of nowhere by itself, but they're the largest.
Yeah.
They're the largest distillery in Canada of all the places, and they're out in the middle of nowhere in Manitoba making. But it's called Gimli. But yeah, the Crown Royal is the crown and their jewel of whiskeys that they make.
I didn't drink the regular Crown Royal.
Right.
You had the Crown Royal peach, didn't you?
You had the peach. You mixed
had the peach.
You had it with a nice glass of iced tea and some peach Crown Royal.
I hate to tell you, there's nothing wrong with the right peach.
No, and what you just said, mixed with some tea.
I know people gone nuts over that.
And lemonade. It's really good with lemonade.
I've not
too.
had that.
Yeah.
I've got a bottle.
But
I've got a bottle.
I drank the winter wheat last night on the show, and that to me that kind of fit for me because everybody's like, "Hey, what are you gonna drink? What are you gonna drink? What are you gonna drink?" And I was like, I gotta put a wheater in there.
I was gonna say you're the wheat king.
That's right, Mike's the wheat king.
Well, W.L. Weller kind of has that title.
Trademark.
Just a little bit. Trademarked, yeah.
So we'll call you.
I don't want to get sued.
We'll call you the Colonel Wheat King. How's that?
Colonel.
I'm
gonna have to come up with something now.
Yeah, no doubt.
The Colonel of Wheat.
Colonel of Wheat. Oh, damn.
Captain Crunch.
Better than a kernel of corn, I guess, right? Yeah. Oh, man. Wait, hold on.
Oh,
there
my
you
God.
go. All right, guys.
You can just call me the Big Whiskey Bear.
The Big Whiskey Bear. All right, Mike, we're going to take a break on that.
There's about to be a bear fight.
That's right, because I'm the bear. So, all right, seriously, let's take a quick break, though. Get a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with more with the Bourbon Life Crew in just a minute.
Three Chords line of whiskeys embody the spirit of creativity. The whiskey is a true collaboration between producer and composer Neil Giraldo and master blender distiller Ari Sussman. The three-chord team of expert blenders, coopers, and sensory professionals have developed a multi-step process they call Perfectly Tuned Taste. This process begins by carefully selecting the finest bourbon and rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, and then blending them together. Find out more about the whiskeys and distribution in your area at www.threechordbourbon.com.
From our good friends at The Stave comes Lexington's newest hotspot to meet up with friends, have fun, and eat some great food. District 7 Social is a social and beer hall, but it's a lot more than that. Located in Lexington's Distillery District, it's the home of Lexington's first duck pin bowling lanes, and it also features a self-serve beer wall. That's right, self-serve. And if you want more, they've got it. You can try one of their delicious cocktails from the bar or order some great German fusion food from their on-site eatery, Germanish. So what are you waiting for? Be seen, be social. District 7 Social. All right, everybody, welcome back for round 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me tonight live in the Bourbon Life Studios, sitting around the flights of the round table, it's my good friend, Stacy.
What up?
And my good friend, Matt.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, man?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing great, man. I'm having a really good time. Happy to be here. We are missing Philip and Chad because they both suck.
Well, I heard that Philip was recently diagnosed with something, and I didn't know if we wanted to talk about it or not.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. What is that?
Well, he went to see a psychiatrist this week.
Yeah.
And he was told he had OCD. He was one cool dude. And if you aren't familiar, that is a Macho Man Randy Savage quote.
Oh,
so you're welcome, Philip.
There you go, Philip.
You're welcome.
You know he's going to hear that.
I told him I was going to pepper it in.
Oh, good job. He's going to love that one.
Rowdy Pepper?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So, and Chad, I'm not sure.
Chad, fuck Chad. Just kidding, Chad.
Jesus.
He's probably out choking on some Blantons right now.
Probably a Buffalo Trace, right?
Yeah.
It's his
he went back to Blanton's because he missed it so much.
But today's 28th day, right? So he did 28 days of Buffalo Trace.
That's probably why he's not here.
He's probably got sick drinking all that.
He's probably getting buck wild.
Oh wow, he's excited to be done with that. And we also have Big Chief calling in from Texas. Big Chief, what's going on, man?
What's going on? The Weller is flowing now. The Weedy King of Kentucky is happy.
Yeah, man. He's got his wheat fix on. Just tap it in, mainline it, man. Put him in an IV in there and let him just relax and enjoy the ride tonight, right? Enjoy the whiskey trip.
Well, I'm drinking out of a Crown Royal glass, though.
Oh, man. Hey, as long as you didn't make like a jacket or anything out of the Crown Royal bags, then we're all, hey, holy shit, that's a great idea.
I swear, Mark.
What?
If I see you come in with that.
I'm just saying.
Make it out of a Blanton's bag.
Stacy, that's like a truckload of Crown Royal bags now for me and
I was gonna say,
Mark.
Mike,
That's a whole lot of bags.
How many bags? That should be like an over under. We should do like a award.
How many bags would it take? Oh my God, that's a great idea.
How many bags would it take to make a jacket for Mike or for Mark out of a Blanton's bag?
That's a lot of bags.
That is a shit ton of bags, man.
Now accepting donations.
The over under on that one, yeah.
Maybe we could get like the King of England to give us one of those purple robes.
Maybe we could reach out to Buffalo Trace and see if they just donate the bags so we could get it done. We can just have it. All right. Anyway.
Do they want that kind of publicity?
They probably don't.
Probably not.
I'd say probably.
Yeah.
I'd say probably. Yeah, Matt's quiet the whole time until then. He's like, no, that's not going to happen. All right, guys. Well, I'm so happy to have everybody. Well, at least the three of us, the four of us back together again, hanging out here in the Bourbon Life Studios, having a good time. And we've got something else poured up on our Whiskies of the World extravaganza tonight. Matt brought us a bottle. What do you got over there, Matt?
That's right. I did bring a bottle. This is a bottle from Japan. This is the Nikka whiskey from the barrel. Nice. This is the current batch that's floating around in the States here, coming in at 51.4%. Just a little bit of information. I'm sure you can probably go and find a whole lot more out there. But this is a blend of Japanese whiskeys, and Scotch. It is a blend of single malt and single grain whiskeys with no age statement. And Nikka from the Barrel is a blended whiskey created to deliver full flavors and richness of whiskey from the barrels, which only blenders can sniff and taste. The small, iconic bottle is a reflection to a small block of whiskey embodying the rich, strong taste from the whiskey within. So, from what I had heard, and I could be wrong on this, this blend in particular was made with the American consumer in mind. I think like Nikka from the Barrel has been quite prominent for some time, but they've started blending more with an American palate in mind.
Okay.
I think. And so that's why we're seeing a whole lot more of it here in the States.
I gotcha. All right. So do you know the story behind Nikka and how it got started?
No, I just brought the bottle.
Oh, okay. Interesting story. A young man by the name of Masataki Tekitsura was in Japan and got sent to Scotland to learn about the distilling process of Scotch because the Japanese were fascinated with that. And then he returned back to Scotland, and it was actually working with Toji, the guy that started Yamazaki. But then he actually left. He left Toji and left Yamazaki and started Nikka on his own. So those are the two primary distilleries in Japan, and the two big ones that have been around. And they compete against each other. They don't share their production. So they, a lot of Scotch people will distill, make their own single malts, and they'll make their own grains, and then they'll actually share those barrels and sell them to other distilleries. But Japan does not do that. So if they want anything, they basically make it themselves.
Did you know also in Scotland, a lot of distilleries will age their barrels in each other's rickhouses or barrel warehouses?
I did not know that.
That way, if
I didn't know that. I did.
Yeah, that way, if something happens to one rickhouse, the whole company, or like to a bunch from one distillery's property, the whole company doesn't go under. Everybody kind of takes a hit.
Oh,
That's really interesting.
That's very interesting.
Kind of like a community thing there. So
I did not know that.
they all, if one takes a hit, they all take a hit.
Seriously.
They all rally together.
Did you also know that they use dunnages over there, which are little single-story buildings that have like dirt floors in them, and that's where they store some of their barrels, just because it doesn't have a harsh climate, and the barrels can stay, and they'll only have like a 0.2% angel share per year, and that's why they can age whiskeys forever and ever and ever and ever. See what you learn when you're studying. Did I tell you guys that I was studying for a whiskey exam?
There's a rainbow that just appeared over Mark's head.
Oh, anyway, Matt. Oh, Stacy, we're going to start with you on this one as you take a drink of water. You've been making notes over there, so I'm impressed.
Listen,
Man,
I don't like you giving me shit for notes whenever we used to give you shit for notes.
I'm not giving you shit. I'm impressed that you're actually writing down
I'm actually doing something.
That you're writing down tasting notes. How many shows have we done? And
I'm trying to take this more seriously.
I'm impressed. I am impressed.
Because I'm usually just a smart ass on here. I need to.
Well, since you had her on as the co-host on the Wally Dance show.
Yeah, now I've got to step my game up.
She is going to replace me.
No,
this is it.
No,
and I think
nope.
You're irreplaceable.
Never.
Irreplaceable, Matt.
Never, Matt. Anyway, you want to know?
Don't say anything, Stacey.
I would never. God, no. The ratings would go.
Oh, wow.
No, the show would get legit.
No, it would not.
Too legit.
Maybe.
It would be too legit for you to quit. Anyway, what do you get for your tasting notes?
Anyway, well, not tasting notes, but for for the notes on this.
Myself.
Yeah, chill out over there, Rucker. Well, it's interesting because I didn't know jack shit about this bottle until Matt was reading about it. So whenever he was talking about a Scotch influence, I definitely picked up on that on the palate, or on the nose.
Wait, are you tasting it, or are you just
No,
nosing
I
it?
sniffed it. I haven't tasted it yet. I didn't get ahead of myself.
All right.
Very smoky on the nose, on the initial pour, but after it sat for a little bit, I'm getting a little bit more like vanilla, some sweetness underneath. I am getting some like orange zest in like lemon pledge notes in there with a little bit of white pepper.
Wow.
That's all I've got.
Very nice. Matt, you're shaking your head over there, so you're in agreement on the orange zest.
There's definitely a fruit note to it. To me, it's more tropical fruit, like pineapple, or almost like a yuzu, which is kind of like a pineapple-y orange type bright citrus flavor on it. But there's also something floral like spring, not like rose petal floral, but like sweet, like orchid or like slight, almost like eucalyptus.
Okay.
Floral note or like earthen note on the nose, and just it's really delightful.
Yeah, I like
And
it.
what did you say it was a blend of?
Just a blend of Japanese whiskey and Scotch.
So it is actually Scotch that they blended in.
That's what it says.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's funny because I'm just wondering if there's any peat on that Scotch. Because I almost pick up a little bit of that Band-Aid type of weird medicinal aroma, just very
Just
faint.
like a scotchy nose on the.
So maybe well, if it's a Scotch though, it has to be. Well, it doesn't have to be peated. Obviously, it has to be malted. I don't know, man. I just having a hard time describing this.
You got some Band-Aids in there.
Well, no, but I do. I get that. I get what I detect as a peated. When I think of peated Scotch, this has a very faint. It's got that smoky aroma to it that to me sometimes comes across almost medicinal, like a wet Band-Aid, which sounds weird, but that's the descriptor I think some people use at times to describe peated Scotch whiskeys. But I did pick out what you're saying too, Matt. When you started talking about tropical fruits, I definitely see that. The sweetness that comes across as well, really, really unique, man. And what's the proof? Was it?
It is 51.4% or 1028.
1028. Okay, and
Really
it's
nice bright nose.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
it's straight from the barrel, right? So is that what?
So I don't think
It's not barrel proof.
correct.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. So, Mike, what about you, man? You're sipping on the 107. Let's hear your thoughts on the antique 107 down there.
It's man, I've described this so many times. It's like walking into a flower shop with these like really, really rich, bright red roses. Like if you went into Valentine's Day and bought roses, and the flower shop's just full of roses, like get that on the nose. To me, it's a beautiful smell, beautiful nose. Really soft on the palate. It's got that nice, deep, rich cinnamon spice to it.
Yeah.
Almost candied, like a little bit of chocolate on there, not overpowering chocolate, but a really light Hershey's chocolate, maybe.
Gotcha.
Just a beautiful whiskey. One of my favorite whiskeys of all time. I always have bottles of it around. Anything about Weller, some things people might not realize about Weller, some facts for you. They have 7 signature expressions. W.L. Weller's first hire was a guy named Van Winkle. A lot of people don't know that, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool fact right there. W.L. Weller was so keen on his whiskey sales.
Hey, Mike, you're breaking up, man. I'm sorry to say that, but sounds like we've kind of losing your
Am I
signal.
still breaking up?
Nope, we got you now.
I got you now, man.
Little known fact about W.L. Weller, he was so keen on whiskey sales in the Civil War, he would join neither side just so he could sell his whiskey to both sides of the Civil War.
True
he had a green
capitalism.
thumb.
Yeah, gosh.
Yeah. Honest whiskey at an honest price. He wanted to put his thumbprint on there to show it wasn't counterfeited whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
So there's you some facts about the true Weedy King of Kentucky right there.
Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. That's pretty cool. Speaking of thumbprints on barrels, that takes me back to a little excursion I was a part of this past way. I got to go to Jim Beam.
A little excursion.
A little excursion called the Bourbon Classic. That was over in Louisville. Started Wednesday night. It was a nightly event, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 4 different events. And then during the day on Thursday and Friday, I was so graciously asked to be part of their media camp. So we got to tour 5 different distilleries over those 2 days. And it was honestly, if you know what, they show these, the guys that do these basketball fantasy camps or these Major League Baseball fantasy camps or whatever, where these grown adults that have no skills whatsoever get to go to these camps and meet these players and hang out and do stuff. This was like bourbon fantasy camp almost to me, man, because it was crazy. It was such a good time. But the reason I said about the thumbprint was because at Knob Creek, we got to bottle our own single barrel, the 120 proof 9-year-old. And at the end of the line, they dip it in the wax. Well, they just put a little bit more wax on top after they dipped it, and you get to put your thumb on top of the bottle, right? So
So don't commit a crime.
So yeah, right.
Okay,
So they've got
you're
my.
screwed.
No, they've got I brought the bottle home, so they don't have my thumbprint.
Yeah, but I mean, then you need to take the bottle with you because it's evidence.
I did. The
Stacy,
bottle.
I know Stacy. He has 2 of those bottles. I know for a fact.
The bottle came home with Mike. You know what? The last time we went, I was telling somebody that they took those bottles and I never got mine. I have no idea
What?
where. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have no idea where
That's
it
even
went.
worse. Someone else has your thumbprint.
I had a 9-year-old 120 proof Knob Creek barrel with my thumbprint on it, and I have no idea where it went, Mike. I never got to pick it up, and who knows, man. So very disappointed about that. But that was a great experience. But yeah, the Bourbon Classic was just an all around great event. And Mike, I have to give props to Mike because unfortunately he wasn't able to attend down there in Texas. So he graciously asked them if I could attend in his absence, and they accepted me in. So I got to go and participate. But the Bourbon Classic is just a great event put on 4 nights. And well, I know everybody got sick of seeing my pictures and
That's not true.
videos.
We just have FOMO.
Stacy's like, why didn't I get that invite? Mike?
Yeah, Big Chief, we're gonna have a little chat after this.
Oh,
Look,
man.
I know I'm not Big Bear status.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it was kind of intimidating, I have to admit, because the media camp, there were writers there. Steve Coombs was there, and Steve is a great guy, right? We had a great time hanging out with him. But in terms of being a writer, the dude knows his shit. I mean, and very, very well respected. And it's like,
see, it's a good thing I wasn't there.
I mean, it's like, you start looking around at some of these people, and like Zach Johnson was there from Up Rocks, who's a great writer as well. And then the social media people there, like the Hood Psalm was there, Jack, Tyler, Louisville Bourbon Buzz was there, Danielle, who does Coffee Black Whiskey Neat. And they are some pretty serious Instagram social media influencers.
Ew, that word.
I know, but it's the truth. I mean, that's what they are, right? People look at their stuff, and it influences what people do, what they buy,
I just really don't like that. We could make an episode about that sometime.
We could do that. I mean, we should do that. So I was kind of in between. Yes, the Bourbon Life has 50,000 followers, but I don't see that our Instagram as being a social media influencer. I mean, I don't see what we do there as being influential. It's just sharing what we're drinking and events and things, whatnot. But then the podcast is, there were no podcasters there. And I think that's really more probably why I was asked to go, just because of the podcast. But still, I'm not going to turn down the gift. So,
the podcast that you do by yourself without a co-host who didn't get a ticket.
What was I going to say? Oh, excuse me. Wait,
podcast?
can I bring my co-host with me as well? So I'm sorry, Matt. Next time, I promise I'll ask if I can bring
Matt, I'm really sorry.
the co-host.
We should start like a battered and abused co-host fund for you.
Yeah.
I see a brand new podcast. It's Matt, Stacy, Philip, and Chad.
It's the Beards of Knowledge +2.
It's just called chopped liver.
Oh, wow. Well, guys, I'm so sorry. Next year.
It's okay.
No, we are so glad that you got to go, Mark, because who better to represent the Bourbon Life podcast than the Bourbon Life himself?
I appreciate that.
The man, the legend.
The pod
Elvis.
Elvis.
Man, if I had your number, I would have texted you.
Big Chief, you are a man of gold. I got to tell you that.
Oh, you probably would have fit in better, at least with the social media influencers, Matt, because they're all 20 years younger or more, 25, 20, 30.
Then they'd be like, "Hey, what's your handle?" And that would be like, "Huh?"
I don't have an Instagram. What?
That's fine.
Yeah, but we got to do a lot of fun things, and I look forward. I hope to get to go back next year. I hope that that I did a good enough job in my pictures and sharing the information about it, that they will ask me back. But it was just, I don't even know how to
What was
describe
your
it.
favorite part?
Spending time with Fred No at the distillery, and we got to go to a private dinner. Well, not a private dinner. It was part of the Bourbon Classic on Thursday night, but it was at the Kitchen Table, which is their new restaurant, which I've never been to. Mike, I know they opened it while we were down there, and they had some small bites and things, but I actually had never eaten there before. And man, it was incredible. The dinner service.
It's pretty amazing.
It really is. The dinner service, the cocktails, everything was just top notch. And then the next morning we got to go, and here it's 9:00 in the morning, and we're walking into a rick house with Fred No, and he just takes a thief out and knocks the bung out of the barrel, and just we're all drinking straight out of the barrel. 9-year-old Jim Beam straight out of the barrel.
It sounds terrible. I'm really sorry.
I know it was absolutely awful. And then we go have lunch at the Kitchen Table, which was spectacular. I mean, I was just blown away by the quality of the food and the drinks and just the kindness of Fred himself. I mean, Fred's just a great storyteller. I mean, he's one of the legends in the industry.
You never said about the food when I cook.
Matt, your food is you're nuts.
He talks about your nuts.
We can't stop. We rave about your nuts.
Also, can we just go back to our holiday episode? Your roast chicken was divine.
It was, Matt. We always talk about your food, man.
Well, I think I'm still actually pumping insulin into myself post Stacy's bourbon cake.
Oh, I forgot I made the bourbon cake for you guys.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, you did. Mike, we'll have to get you up here when we do our holiday shows, man. So we get together and do a bunch of food and drinks, and Stacy made a delicious dessert, man. So you have to come back up here and we'll have to plan it around your visit. We'll get you over here.
Yeah. I got to give a huge shout out to my buddy Steve Johnson. He went to the Bourbon Classic on Saturday night. And now, unlike you, Mark, he had to pay for his tickets, but he was gladly paid. But he called me and he said, Mike, it was truly spectacular. He said he made it till about 9:30.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do no more. And he told his wife, he said, it's time to go, honey. And she was like, well, you only had a couple bourbons. He's like, it's time to go.
It's like
my fun meter has been paid.
Yeah, I get it, man. I was worn out. So it was kind of weird because Saturday night, my wife and I actually went to the Heart Ball over there in Louisville. We got invited to that. So we were at the Heart Ball until about 9 o'clock, and then we made it back to the Hyatt for the Bourbon Classic around 9:30. So we got there just as your buddy was leaving, I guess, and missed him. But you walk in and there's all these people there's Danny Kahn hanging around, just chatting to people, with people. I mean, it was just like, what the hell? I mean, you just walk up and Danny's just like, hey, what's going on, man? How's it going? And you just,
Danny's a good guy.
He seriously is. And we were doing a tour on Friday, and he was obviously, that's his workplace, Buffalo Trace. And he's just walking through the facility, got his laptop under his hand and under his arm, and he just stops in the middle of the tour and starts talking to us. And the poor little tour guide was just like, you can see the look on his face, like, oh shit, yeah. This is like the guy that runs everything, and he's going to sit in and listen to me as I give this tour.
Yeah, that's the ultimate panic moment.
Could you imagine? I felt sorry for the guy, but Danny's just so laid back, and he's talking about, he's like, people talking about distillation being art. He's like, they're full of shit. He's like, distillation is not an art. It's all chemistry, man.
Yeah, he's big science nerd.
He is, man. He's all science. But he's also the skateboard. Remember that? Talking about riding the vert ramps.
Totally likes to shred it.
When he was a kid in the Lords of Dogtown, everything, man. Just crazy. So just a good guy, man. Really enjoyed hanging out with him. So, all right, let's jump back to the whiskey because we're at the end of round 2. Let's talk about this Nikka. Straight from the barrel. So, Matt, what do you get in terms of the palate and the finish on it?
It's surprisingly spicier than I was expecting. Right up front, it has kind of like a sweetness that's like a molasses, but spicy. Like the only way I can really think about it is like molasses and black pepper. Like a white pepper right up front. Then it leads to some more of those floral notes, like picking up like a subtle like rose water, like hibiscus kind of water tea note on it. Then a little more spice, some cinnamon, a little sweetness, kind of like a cinnamon gummy bear type sweetness, and a long spicy finish. But all in all, it's spicier than I thought it was going to be, but enjoyable. A nice drink.
Stacy, what do you think?
I really enjoyed this one personally. I got a lot less citrus on the palate than I did on the nose. Also, I cheated and put a drop of water in it. But before that, Matt was talking about some floral notes. I got and this is like weird to think about, but like a gardenia flower.
Okay.
And I think about that because of my grandma.
Okay.
Grandma, but it had like a perfumey note to it. But it was one that I enjoyed. Normally, I'm not too big on the perfumey notes there.
Sure.
But after I put in a drop of water, I got some dark fruit notes on it, like a dark cherry, but it was short-lived. And then I also got a little bit of chocolate, but I'll agree with Matt. There was a lot more spice on it than I thought there was going to be, but overall, I really enjoyed this pour. Thought it was really good.
I keep coming back to that. There's gotta be peated Scotch in there. It has.
I dig it.
See, I just can't.
I love Scotch though.
Oh, see,
Digging it.
I just can't get past the now. But I'm picking up like brown sugar. I'm picking up chocolate. You know, I'm picking up all those notes that you're talking. Picking up the cinnamon, the spice, like you said, Matt. So I'm trying to get past in my mind that initial aroma, that taste of that medicinally whatever that I get from that smoke. It's the peat smoke, the phenols. It's just that's what does it to me. The phenols. I just can't. I have a hard time getting past that, and maybe I'm just making it up. Maybe this isn't a peated. Maybe there is no peated Scotch in it. Maybe I'm just thinking that.
You're not making it up. It's whatever you're feeling.
But I just keep getting that, and it just reminds me of old wet Band-Aids. And I know that sounds weird. Mike, you were talking about that last night, I think, weren't you? Were you guys talking about?
Yeah, I just can't picture it. I mean, it's disgusting. I can just see you chewing on a Band-Aid and sniffing on a magic marker.
When I was a kid, I'm sure I've chewed on a Band-Aid. I mean,
oh, that's disgusting.
I'm sure I did.
Out in Eastern Kentucky, they didn't have anything better to do.
We didn't have food sometimes, Mike. We had to eat our Band-Aids. So anyway, all right,
I
guys.
washed it down with my Mountain Dew.
Yeah, that's right. That was in my bottle. No doubt. So, all right, Matt, I appreciate you bringing this, and I appreciate. I would probably need to revisit this maybe again just to give it another try, but I just mentally can't get past that, man. So I don't know why, but that's just me. But I'm glad you guys enjoyed it, obviously. And Mike, I know I don't even have to ask about the 107.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll like it. It's weeded.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Now, Mike, is that your favorite of the Weller expressions, excluding the William LaRue?
Man, I would get naked for any Weller.
Oh, God.
That easy,
I'm just
huh?
saying.
All right. You heard it here, folks.
Oh, wow.
I'm just a big old Weller whore. That's just me. I'm not going to lie about it. I mean, when people say they don't like a bourbon, I always wonder about them and like, do you not like it because you can't get it and you're just going to trash on it? Or have you really experienced it?
Yeah.
You know, that's like the CYPB, right? It gets Bourbon of the Year a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
It wins awards. It's a good bourbon.
All right, Mike, gun to your head. Which one would you pick?
Weller 107 every day. All day. The Foolproof is right up there with it. You know, both of them are just, man, they're just good. You know, if I had to pick a Pappy between a Pappy and a Weller, I'd take the Weller.
Yeah, I would agree with that, man. Especially after, well, I'll come back. We'll come back because we'll probably need to take a break. I'll come back and talk about that at the beginning of the third round. So, all right, guys. So, I already know your final thoughts, and you two, final thoughts on this Nikka. Big fans. You already liked it.
I dig it.
All right.
Yeah, I like it. It's a nice foray and kind of a nice sidebar from what we've been drinking for 4 seasons.
I agree, Matt.
Different. I like that.
I really need to work on
expand your palate.
I really have to. I'm going to have to do that because I just can't. The Scotch thing, man, I just struggle with it. I'm on the struggle bus with it. But thanks for bringing that, Matt. Appreciate you sharing that. So, all right, guys, with that said, let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with more with the Bourbon Life Crew in just a minute.
The Stave Restaurant is a bourbon lover's paradise right here in the heart of bourbon country. Located at 5711 McCracken Pike in Millville, Kentucky, between Castle and Key and Woodford Reserve, Chef Kyle Klatka prepares amazing food each day that features an elevated Kentucky-inspired cuisine. With a full-service bar, great bourbon flights, and signature cocktails, the Stave is the perfect place to catch up with friends after a fun-filled day of touring the local distilleries. Be sure to check them out online at thestavekentucky.com or at Instagram and Facebook at The Stave Kentucky.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the third and final round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me tonight live here in the Bourbon Life Studios, otherwise known as my basement, it's my good friends, Matt and Stacy. How you guys doing?
Hey. Ready for round 3?
Yeah, and we got Mike. Matt, I'm sorry, I didn't even let you say anything, Matt. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
He just cut you off. He cut you off,
You
Matt.
know, we got somewhat Mike's on a short schedule, man, so we got to hustle it up. So I'm trying to come on, let's get going. Mike, how you doing down there in Texas, man?
Man, I am feeling good. I got a bottle of the Bardstown Bourbon Company's The Prisoner right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sipping on this.
Nice,
That's
man.
one of my faves.
Woo. I got about half a bottle left.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you know what? I'm just happy that you were able to get in your new house and get your whiskeys out of the back of your truck.
Yeah.
I was worried about that.
Well, speaking of that, I had about 60 cases over in our realtor's shop, and some of them were sitting on the dirt. And so I go over there Saturday and pick up all those cases, and I open those boxes, the cardboard, and there were mildew on some of the bottles.
Oh.
So all 60 cases I had to take a Clorox wipe them all down, and then dry them all off, and then, put them in the house. So warning for the wise, don't store your whiskey in cardboard boxes in anywhere humid.
Yeah, man, no doubt. Good advice right there. But man, sorry you had to do all that, but hopefully it didn't affect the whiskey. The cork's in there good and not going to have any issues.
Yeah, this Bardstown, the Prisoner, if you have a bottle out there, it's horrible. You should just send it to me and I'll take care of it for you.
Or to me.
Yeah, just ship it over to Mike, or just, you know what, send it to Mike, care of the Bourbon Life here in Lexington, and we'll make sure Mike gets
sure he personally gets that.
Each and every bottle.
Yeah.
Each and every empty bottle. we'll make sure he gets it. All right, guys. So let's jump on to what we're drinking this round. We have poured up here, and Matt selected this off of my bar, or not really a bar, just off of a damn
cabinet
that's got too many bottles on it. If you notice, you see that cabinet is leaning forward. If you look at the back of it,
it is bowing a little bit.
It's actually leaning forward, and the wood is bowing in the center because there's too many bottles. Anyway, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother show. Matt picked WhistlePig. So we are continuing our whiskeys from around the world. This is a Canadian Rye Whiskey, right? Yes.
Yep.
86 proof. Wait a second. Why do we go backwards?
Because it's a rye.
Yeah, we went.
Oh, okay. All right.
Whiskey, rye.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was like, but they were... Okay.
The age he forgot already.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
You guys keep talking. I'm just going to go to the bathroom, okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
Well, actually, we talked about this while you were in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So, and Chad, if you're out there listening, go yourself. Chad sent a text apparently during the break that said that he hated to interrupt her while I was taking my 5th bathroom break. Yeah, that's really funny, Chad. I know you're out there, bro. Matt picked the WhistlePig. This is the 12-year-old WhistlePig Old World Rye. 86 proof Canadian Rye Whiskey, wine cask finished. This says expertly aged, 63% Madeira casks, 30% Sauterne, and 7% port casks. So there is a blend of different casks here. Canadian Rye Whiskey, man. For the longest time, just completely overlooked, right? I mean, Canada's a huge producer of whiskey, has been forever, ever and ever. Hiram Walker family, all those guys. You got Crown Royal up there, Gimli, that's doing some stuff, and then they just kind of everything. It was almost like secretive. I mean, they were shipping stuff out, but they didn't get a lot of respect for what they were doing. I think when you mentioned Canadian whiskey. Mike, you even talked about this a little bit, talking about Crown Royal, and you're like, well, I wasn't drinking the regular Crown Royal. I mean, I think, some people, there's just a connotation that kind of came along with it, or even like Canadian Club. When you mentioned that, people were like, oh, God, that's awful. But I mean, that was one of the biggest selling whiskeys in the world, back before and during Prohibition. I mean, the smugglers and everything, that's what they're smuggling out. So, but yeah, we got the WhistlePig Rye, the 12-year-old. This was a gift. My brother actually bought this for me for Christmas. So thank you, brother. Not that you listen to my podcast, but if by chance
he listened to mine though.
Yeah, I bet he did. You're probably right, because he's in the Bourbon Lifers, and I'm sure he saw that. He's like, oh, I'm going to check out this guy's podcast because my brother sucks. Thanks, John. But thanks for the whiskey, man. I appreciate that very much. Man, who went first on the nose last time? Matt?
I think I did.
I went first round, right? So Stacy.
That's fine. I'll do it. So the nose is way different on this one than the first two that we've had. This one is total dessert bomb to me. I got like some cinnamon sugar, like snickerdoodle cookie almost. I also got like some hints of like fruit on there. It was coming across to me almost like a baked apple. But yeah, those were the standout notes for me. It just smells like dessert in a glass.
Initially, when I poured it, I got I got a lot of fresh mint off of it. And now, does it sound weird if I say it almost reminds me somewhat of like citronella?
No.
Does that sound weird?
No, because there's also like a lemony, like a lemongrassy.
Yeah, because I'm smelling this, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. But I get almost, it reminded me we used to have lemongrass plants, and there was a combination. It's just that kind of that aroma when you take those blades, and I mean, as long as you didn't slice your fingers open as you're trying to, peel them off, but you could take that oil off of it. Mm-hmm. And it's almost reminiscent of that same aroma that came out of that lemongrass. But with that mint comes through as well. I really don't pick up a lot of like spiciness off the nose. I don't know if that's a factor of the proof on it. Or it's also cask finished, so maybe that has taken away a little bit of that rye spiciness. And I don't know if this is Canadian rye. I hate to say it. I wish I knew if it's 100% rye. I don't know.
You didn't do your research.
We didn't know what we were drinking. I had no idea, right?
No excuses.
For some reason, Matt and Stacy, I get an image of Mark. Mama Rucker has just cleaned all the furniture in the house with some lemon pledge. And Mark drags his finger along it and licks his finger. I don't know.
I mean, he was chewing on Band-Aids, so this is pretty believable.
You got to take the Band-Aid out of his mouth first.
After I took my leather glove off that I've been chewing on, I chewed on the Band-Aid where the blister was from the leather glove. Oh. I chewed on the Band-Aid for a few moments.
Had to finish her off with some lemon pledge.
And then a little lemon pledge. Yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what the I just don't know what the
It's okay. We'll forgive you this time.
The mash bill is on this one. But it is a product of Canada, no doubt about it. Canadian Rye Whiskey. So obviously it has to be at least a minimum of 51%. But who knows? I unfortunately don't know what the blend of it is. Matt, what do you get, man?
For 12 years old, I don't get a whole lot of oak or a whole lot of barrel influence on it.
Okay.
Orange creamsicle was the first thing that really came into my mind on it. Then, Mark, you were talking about some herbs. I get thyme, a lemon thyme note coming across, and then a green banana.
Oh.
Green banana hint on the nose for me, like pretty strong, actually.
Okay.
I think near the tail of it.
Gotcha.
And then a little bit of the like red wine fruits come across too.
Mark, Matt and Stacy, I gotta say, your guys' tasting notes, I gotta compliment both of you. And sorry, Mark, I'm taking over for a second here, but your tasting notes are just amazing, and that both of you don't use a tasting wheel. I got to say, hats off to you. I love it. I just love it. Those memory sensories, that's amazing.
I ate a lot of food. I don't know about you, Matt.
Yeah, a whole lot.
So great. Not only did Mike just hijack my show, he also just said that my palate sucks. Okay.
Oh no, Mark, I thought on this one especially, you really came with the lemongrass.
Yeah, lemongrass.
No, lemongrass is
the
good.
citronella too.
Yeah. All right.
You're getting it, brother.
I like it. Mark, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Dude, that's quite all right. Hey, I was just reading the label though. It doesn't say anything about the mash bill, but it does say it's aged 12 years in American oak and finished in Madeira, Sauterne, and port. So it doesn't say how long it's finished for, but it is actually aged for 12 years first in the American oak and then finished off in those other casks in the percentages that I read earlier. So guys, let's talk a little bit about something that's exciting that happened. We haven't had the chance to talk about it since it was announced. This is our first cruise show since, but Chris Morris has announced, I guess, he is going to now be the Master Distiller Emeritus, and Woodford announced that in his place that Elizabeth McCall will be stepping up from Assistant Master Distiller. Now she is going to be the Master Distiller for Woodford Reserve. So what do you guys think about that?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, that's a big role to fill, but I know that she's got the hacks for it. She's going to fit right in. I'm excited to see. Hopefully she can do some innovation as well. Mm-hmm. I know Woodford, they do an all right job of putting out some experimental stuff. I think they hold their cards a little close to the chest, but I think it's great.
Yeah.
Excited to see what comes from it.
I agree. Mike?
Matt, you just killed me, man. You just killed your tasty notes there with the experimental stuff, because their Masters collection at Woodford is, man, I love it. I love every one of them almost. I don't think there's a bottle I don't have, but to you guys' notes, it couldn't happen for a better person.
Mm-hmm.
She is for people that don't know Elizabeth, she does a lot of charity with horse therapy, equine therapy. And to me, that says so much about her right there. Green Hill Therapy in Louisville, Kentucky, works with children with special needs. And Elizabeth has given so much to that charity. And I know that stepping away from her as a master distiller, she's obviously earned that. Brown-Forman just doesn't give that to anybody. So Elizabeth, hats off from the Big Chief and from the Bourbon Life crew. Well deserved.
Yeah. Well, a little birdie told me that she might be appearing on the Bourbon Life at some point here in the immediate future. So that could be a lot of fun. So, and it
will be a lot of fun.
There's no doubt about it. And I think it is the first podcast that she has done, as far as I know, in her capacity as the.
That's unless the whiskey trip booked her first.
Back it up, Mike. Just back it up, bro. It's funny you say that about the charity, because she actually helped organize a Master Distiller roundtable up at Watch Proper about a month or so ago. And she got Chris, she got Bill Samuels Jr., Cave was there, Caleb Kilburn was there. And it was just a fun night of just sampling through some different products. But it was a fundraiser for her brothers. He has an organization that he raises money through. He's a coach in high school, and I'm not sure. I can't remember if it's track and field or something, but he is something. I can't remember his first name. O'Neill. It's the O'Neill Foundation, and he raises money for underprivileged kids in high school sports to help them be able to afford their equipment and other things that they need, and food as well. I mean, just things, basic needs and necessities that they have. So Elizabeth helped put all that together. So it was really unique, and that was the first time I got the chance to actually meet her. Was about a month or so ago at Watch Hill for that event. So you can tell, obviously, from a perspective of giving back and doing what she can for the community, that's obviously important to her. So I was thrilled to see that announcement, and I think everybody kind of expected eventually that was probably going to happen. It was just really cool that to see it and to realize that it's finally coming to fruition. And I don't know what Chris's role. I mean, he's going to be Master Distiller Emeritus, which I'm assuming, based on what I know about law professor emeritus, they just kind of show up randomly at different places and do appearances here and there. So maybe Chris will be somewhat relegated to. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his official role will be as Master Distiller Emeritus. But hats off to Elizabeth. I'm really excited for her, for sure. So, guys, you want to talk about the palate on this? Mike, I know you're kind of on a short time frame, man. I don't want to keep you longer.
Hey, I'm good to go. I'm been walking around and cooking while you're
multitasking.
Oh my gosh, the man can drink, podcast, and fix steak all at the same time.
Yeah, what cut are you throwing on the grill there?
I've got a top sirloin that I marinated in a teriyaki sauce. For my wife, because she loves some teriyaki, and the sirloin just sucks in that marinade. And then I got a baked potato and some green beans.
All right, but we've got a really important question. How does she like her steak?
She is a real Texas woman, so we both eat our steak rare.
Okay.
There you go. I
respect that.
Yeah. I'm kind of a medium rare guy.
I'm a medium rare guy.
Yeah. I still can't do. I'm not all the way unless it's steak tartare. I can handle that.
I like a raw steak every now and then.
Yeah, but just
I typically like my steak, if I could get it at a steakhouse, it's called blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good steak.
What's blue? I don't even know what blue is.
Blue is like just seared on the outside, so
it's still cold on the inside.
Yeah,
you got to be kidding me.
Yep.
No, but the flavor, it has to be the right cut of steak.
Okay.
The flavor is
chef's
kiss.
Oh yeah.
All right, if you say so.
If you like steak tartare, though, like you
that's true.
you
I
should
guess I
enjoy
probably-
that. You
probably
get like
wouldn't
the
have it.
seared qualities from it, but also
All right.
rare meat.
Yeah, but you got to be somewhere good, obviously, to order it that way.
I wouldn't go
Oh,
to
you can't
like
just go anywhere.
yeah.
Not going to go to Golden Corral.
Nah.
They got that on the buffet over there. Can I get a chocolate waterfall
Oh my god.
blue steak? Just dip that sucker right.
Next time you're at Waffle House.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, can I
Get a
can I-
grab
T-bone
yourself
blue.
a sirloin from there.
Yeah, can I get a T-bone, a blue T-bone,
Blue
scattered,
T-bone.
smothered,
and covered.
Yeah.
diced, chunked, and topped, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, somebody's been to Waffle House.
When are we
before.
going to
Right
do
there.
a Bourbon Life Crew Waffle House?
Oh, well,
on
is
your
it?
on your road trip to Texas?
there you
I'm
go.
down.
There you go. On the road trip to Mrs. Bourbon Life has entered the building. So yeah, on our road trip to Texas, we'll make that happen a couple times maybe. So that'd be a lot.
How
of
many
fun, man.
bathroom breaks are we going to need?
Hey, come on, man.
Let's do an over/under on how many
We're
bathroom
gonna
breaks.
fly
it
Mark
takes.
there because if not, we'll have to leave
We'll meet
today
you-
so that we can be there by the
We'll meet
holiday
you at the
special.
Waffle House.
Have you guys not seen the bladder buddies that they sell? You know,
Or diapers.
I'm not sitting in a car with you peeing in a.
if you look over, and I'm just sitting there really still and kind of smiling,
Oh my god!
then you know just to turn your head away and just
Don't look at it.
Don't-
make
yeah,
direct
don't-
eye
yeah,
contact.
don't look and don't talk. Okay, just don't talk. Don't talk. Just give me a few seconds. All right.
Pothole.
Oh, jeez, OP. Anyway, all right, let's go back to our whiskey. Let's talk about the whiskey. What do you get, Stacey? What do you get in terms of the palate?
Oh, you're making me go first.
Well,
again.
because you've been taking the notes, and I'm like
It's fine.
impressed, and I just
It's
want
okay.
to hear what you
So,
say. Because obviously, my tasting notes don't matter. So
That's not
Stacey
what
and
he
Matt,
said. You're a little sensitive this evening.
Stacey and Matt, just go ahead and take over.
Thankful. Okay. Matt, are you
Finally,
ready? Thank
geez.
God. This is what we've been waiting for. All
It's
right.
taking how long?
I'm going to take my mic and just go upstairs.
All right. Now that he's gone.
Wow.
On first sip, I got super like bubblegum notes off of it. Like the Big League Chew on my first sip. Then it had like a little hint of like mintiness to it, but not like a mint gum. Also got a little bit of like raisiny, like marshmallowy notes to it with Big Chief was talking about a little bit of pepper on top of that. I don't know. I got a little bit of pepper on it. But for a rye, this does not have the rye pepperiness that I'm quite looking for. And I also didn't get as much of the wine influence on this as I thought that I would. However, I will say that I did enjoy this.
But you said you got some raisin flavor, right?
I did, but
Which-
I didn't. Here, let me back up. I didn't
right.
get the drying wine qualities that I
Okay.
thought that I would get
Okay.
with this particular whiskey. That's
But
what I'll
maybe
say.
some rich type
Correct.
of fruit that could have come
Correct.
from the wine barrel influence, possibly.
Yes.
Matt, what about you, man?
Yeah, I think Stacey, you hit a lot of notes there that I got to echo on. The raisin is kind of like rum raisiny sweetness. Again, the palate for me, I was hoping to get a little bit more spice, a little bit more rye. The banana comes across. It's like sweet banana runt candy
Yeah, I could see that.
for the palate. Then there was also like a little grassy, a little grainy, kind of some drying qualities, I think, from the oak, maybe the 12 years in the barrel.
Yep.
Starting to show themselves a little bit on the palate. Some of those red wine fruits come across. We talked about that raisin, or that I kind of got that rum raisin effect. But I was hoping for something maybe a little bit more bold, a little more pepper, a little more spice, or like a little more rye grain on this one.
Gotcha.
So I think maybe the finishing in it really pulled some of that out. But
Yeah.
there's some citrus notes to be had there too. So it's good. It's good. I don't know if this was quite what I was expecting, but I'm not disappointed.
Okay. Well, good. I'll let my brother know you're happy with my Christmas gift. No, it's good. I agree. It doesn't have that, like you said, the rye spiciness necessarily that you'd think it would have. I think that's probably playing from those wine casks that have probably toned it down a little bit. Talking about the raisin, the red fruits that come through a little bit. So I think that probably played an influence. I do get a little bit of that mint that comes through on the palate as well. To me, it kind of comes across cinnamony, some cinnamon sweetness. You're talking about banana runts. I don't get the banana, but I get like a cinnamon red hot almost flavor, but not a super overwhelming. But overall, yeah, it's good. I enjoy it. So it was a nice Christmas gift to be able to pick up. So I appreciate that. I'm never going to turn down a WhistlePig 12-year-old rye, ever. Mike, what about you, man? What do you got?
This has that cinnamon toast crunch, this Prisoner. Cinnamon toast crunch with some blood orange zest to it. That spice is that blood orange zest that I'm getting off this. But just a really, really rich whiskey that has that leather quality. You talk about chewing on a leather glove, but warm leather. I just love a whiskey like this. Bardstown Bourbon Company puts out some amazing bottles, and this is one of them right here. If you're a listener out there of the Bourbon Life, the whiskey trip, and you haven't had Bardstown Bourbon Company, make sure you try to find one of these bottles and pick it up. If it's in your budget, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. That a lot of their special releases, like the Prisoner, isn't one of their standard releases.
Right.
It is going to be more expensive, but I personally haven't been disappointed by any of their special releases. That's just my 2 cents. But the Prisoner is one of my favorites. I'm just curious, Big Chief, are you a big wine guy at all?
Yeah, he's a big whiner.
Oh, yes.
There's no doubt about it. He whines all the damn time.
Well, okay, we knew that. Are you a wine drinker?
Well, my wife is half German and Venezuelan, so of course, anytime we usually have steak, we got to have wine with it. There is a story of me in Mexico drinking 7 bottles of Chilean wine by myself.
Holy crap! In one setting?
Yeah, one sitting.
Well, if you want to call a setting a 7-hour dinner,
good Lord!
You can't drink all day unless you start in the morning, right, Matt?
Hey, that's the truth.
That's right. That's right, baby.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, guys, we are proud. Well, we are at the end of round 2 or round 3. Jeez,
math is hard.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just gonna erase this whole episode. I'm just gonna go record one by myself.
Bourbon by myself, a new podcast coming from the Bourbon Life.
Bourbon all alone. Bourbon without any friends at all anymore. That's what I'm going to be. That's my new podcast, guys. And I'm going to take my special microphone and just do that. So, okay, guys, let's get final thoughts on this WhistlePig 12 on our end. What do you guys think?
I got to say, this was actually kind of a miss for me.
Oh,
I was wanting big and bold.
I got you. Stacy?
I liked the flavors that I got off of it, but I'm going to agree with Matt. I wish I got a little bit more rye characteristics with it, and I feel like that was a miss for me.
Well, I'm sorry. I liked it. So what can I say?
I would still drink it again.
Oh,
but...
yeah. Well, sorry. You can't have any more. I'm sorry to say.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Somebody's a little bitter.
Mike, what about
Bourbon
you?
by myself over there.
What about Mike?
Well, I've actually had WhistlePig, and Mark, I agree with you. I like that. That's a good sipper for me right there. I like Whistle 12 year. But if I can get the listeners to just send me their bottles of the Prisoner, because I know you don't like it, enjoy it. Go ahead and send it to Orange, Texas, here in Southeast Texas. I will take care of it. I will donate it to a friend of mine.
Stacy.
Stacy, yeah.
Oh, man. All right, guys, before we wrap it up tonight, any final thoughts? Mike, what about you down there?
Hey, listen, I'm drinking Bardstown Bourbon Company. We got veterans out there that need jobs, that are homeless. I hate to get on my bandwagon there, but Bardstown Bourbon Company always putting jobs out. If you're a veteran, look out for it. Their CEO, Mark Irwin, is a veteran, retired veteran. Reach out to him. You might be surprised. What a great show. Great whiskeys you guys drink. I love that you guys are trying some other stuff besides bourbon. I just love it.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Stacy, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. We're going to get you to drink scotch and enjoy it at some point.
All right.
Preach it, girl. Preach it.
Man, that's a tall task right there, but I'm game. I'm open to trying. So But yeah, keep my fingers crossed on that one, right? Matt, what do you got?
Hey, always a great time to sit around with the crew. Big Tex, thanks for calling in on us. Always love having you here. And enjoy.
Big Tex. Did you call him Big Tex?
Yeah.
I call him Big Tex.
Big Tex.
That's awesome, man. Big Tex.
Oh,
That's going to be the new name. Big Tex.
Yeah, enjoy that steak, man.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, guys, thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Appreciate it. Miss Philip and Chad. Hope Philip.
Do we, though?
Nah, maybe not so much, because it takes up so much time for them to talk and say their stuff. No, I'm just kidding. I miss Philip. Chad, probably.
I would just like to say right at the end, Old Tub sucks.
Oh, man.
Another nail in the casket.
There you go. Chad is going to be pissed. All right. Well, I've had a great time tonight. Thank you, guys. I'm glad we got to explore the whiskeys of the world tonight. It's been a lot of fun to explore different things, different tastes. And if you get a chance, try some of these whiskeys. Like Mike said on his show, The Whiskey Trip, that came up today. I mean, just open your mind up to some other alternatives. It's not just all about bourbon and rye. There's a lot of great whiskeys, a lot of great spirits out there from around the world. So check them out. Don't just spend your time drinking one thing. You might be really surprised what you find that you really like. So be willing and open to at least give it a shot. Even like me, if you don't like Scotch, give it a try. You never know, you might find the one that just really hits the right notes for you and that you really enjoy. And if you just close your mind, you never know what you're going to miss out on. So, but with that said, I want to thank all of our sponsors. We appreciate everything that they have done for us and that they do for us. So we appreciate them. We appreciate you, all of our listeners. Thank you all for tuning in, whatever time of day it may be that you're sharing your time with us and listening. We really appreciate that. Appreciate you doing that. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. Also, you can join our private Facebook group, The Bourbon Lifers. You can send us a text or an email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have any suggestions or questions. Stacy, please stop making noise while I'm wrapping up the show. And I think that's it. Oh, and hey, don't forget, check out the Whiskey Trip. Like I said, it's under the Bourbon Life on your favorite podcasting platform. So if you are subscribed to our show, you're going to be getting Mike's shows as well. The Whiskey Trip, he's got some great things lined up. First show came out today that we're recording. Every Tuesday, a new show will be coming out. So be sure to check that out. Follow him on Instagram as well, The Whiskey Trip. And with that said, I'm going to wrap it up. Send us home with our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the bourbon life.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the bourbon life.